All right, good morning, everybody. Morning. Oh, it's afternoon on a Sunday. M.Arnold from the Spec Ed Specialist course coming to you from to use way of sharing information in the collaborative IEP strategy. So I'm going to show you today how to build some SMART goals, have some accountability between parents and teachers and the student, and of course the special education readers teacher, in building those SMART goals student and having a way that that student can access it through technology that they already have, and that would be either on their SIA computers or on their personal devices, wherein parents and teachers can also access these on their personal devices. So there was a concern expressed in the last module of, the last section of module 5 about how much time it would take to set something like this up. So the wonderful thing about using something like Google Keep is that the students, in fact, would set this up at their way. You wouldn't actually have to add them or set it for them. You could show them how to do it. You could also share with them a format. So what I've done here is I have created a label, what's called a label. And under this label, I called this is self-management. So it's SMART goals and self-management. So in Spec Ed 2, we talked a lot about SMART goals, and we talked in page 3 of an IEP in this case, looking at an app support building those work habits. And we're looking at a tangible way that a student can set up their own goal with some accountability towards those goals. So you'll see that I've set up a label here, and this label called our goals. What a student would do is you could, in fact, share each of these notes with the student. And so if I go ahead and share, say, the first step in self-management, which is self-instruction, so student getting to work. What I would do is I would add this and share this with the student, and the student would go ahead and just simply make a copy. So you can make a copy of this, student would make a copy, and they would create their own list. So under this, they would in fact also create their own label that would be self-management. And the label is like a something else, but it's on Keep. Now, the one disadvantage about this is that a student can't share an entire label with you, but you can in fact create your own label to class, or you can create a label, a separate label monitoring, self-reinforcement, self-evaluation. Smart a special resource teacher. With the SMART goals, what I would suggest is that you create one of these, or maybe one of these for each of your students. And again, if you create it for each of your students and go ahead and just make a copy, is you just have to make a copy of each of these for the students, so you don't necessarily have to create a new one for each student. You can create copies, share those copies with the students, and away you go. The bonus about that is that once you've created that copy, is that you are in fact the owner, and a parent can see that. So I know that within our school board, no outside email addresses are supposed to be able to look at, share, or with a student who has a ugcloud.ca or Google email address. But this way is an interesting way around it. And it doesn't necessarily create that much more work, except the fact that you have to click make a copy a few times. All right, so the SMART goal that I created here, which is a common one in a class and a common one with students who have low self-esteem from lack of academic success in the past, is developing better work habits and making that so it doesn't seem overwhelming. So I suggest to a student that they do this once a week. And then a parent can go in here and they can see that the student has been checking this information off. They can go ahead and add some more information in themselves. And also the special education resource teacher or the classroom teacher can check this as well. You can also share this, of course, with administrators if they need to see it for, say, a behavioral management mental health plan, something along those lines. All right, so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So if we look now at an example of self-instruction, so getting started. So this is something that I share with students of what I do when I have to get going. I also find that if I show students that this is something that I use and pass this on to each student, every student in a class, it in fact creates a more inclusive classroom. So it's not just the students who have the SIA technology, but it's also all the students around them that are using this technology on their own personal devices. So, great. I think that's about it. The last thing that I wanted to show you, if you are a Google board and you happen to have something called Google Meet, Google Meet then becomes and you would go ahead and create a meeting. So you don't necessarily need to invite anyone to this meeting. Another great thing about recording these is that you can upload it to a YouTube channel and you can record lessons when you're away. So I created a meeting for today. As you can see here, we've got some slow internet connection at my house today. And then you would share the screen. And once you share the screen, then you can click on record. So here is present, and you would go ahead and you would present a window, and you would select the window you wanted to, down in the thoughts. Once your administrator sets this up for you, you can actually go ahead and record the meeting. You just click on record the meeting. And what you're seeing there is the desk, because my camera's facing down. Great. So I hope this answered some questions from the last module. I hope it also showed, I know it might be a little confusing at first, but once you start to use it and simplify it, I would say just start with perhaps the SMART goals and create some SMART goals from page 3 of the IEP on something to work on. And again, create it yourself as the teacher, share that with the cert, share that with the parent, and then hopefully that will help a student with building on those self-management resources, which should hopefully lead to some success, some better study habits, and so on. So thanks so much for your time today. And please leave a reply to my post.